Today I'm going to talk about how to start this swim-inspired bookmark that I designed last year for the Swimathon. It has caused one or two problems with getting started, so I'm going to cover the start process of starting it in both directions in the half stitch. First of all, I've coloured the pattern in. This will help me see the design. The brown indicates the half stitch and the greeny blue the cloth stitch. I'm going to use a very dark blue gimp so that you can actually see it a little better, but on the pattern I used a paler shade, a greeny blue turquoisey sort of colour. You're going to start with three pairs of bobbins plus a pair of gimps in both directions. So I'm going to lie the bobbins across the pillow, and I want the gimp, a pair to go to the left and a pair to go to the right, and then the three pairs for each direction in addition down the middle of them. Now this does get a little tricky when you start working it, so I tend to secure one end, which is the best way to do it. So I have a little gadget here which is known as a hold tight. I don't know of anyone making them at the moment. My late father made these, and this just pins across it, but you can use something similar. You can get a lollipop stick and put a hole in each end to pin it down, or if you have the continental bobbin holders, you could pin that down across them. It's just to secure the end you're not working with. Then I'm going to turn the pillow so I can work with this side. And I'm going to start right at the top where we have this marking. And just zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to start with this plait here, and because I want to start from this pinhole on the right hand side, I'm just going to actually put a loop round a pin just to hold it at the start there. Now this has tangled the bobbins a little, so I'm just going to sort those out. And you want the gimp threads to be on the outside. It's just put a twist on them because I turned it over, which will sort itself out. Now as you can see, that bridge will hold those bobbins on the other side just by pulling up to it, which means I can work this side without them moving about. I'm going to start the pattern with a plait that's marked on the pattern, which runs between the two top bobbles of half stitch. We have three pairs of passives and a gimp pair on the outside, but I'm going to separate them slightly differently into 4 pairs, using the gimp pair with the next passive on each side, and work a plait. And I'm going to work 4 half stitches, making sure you keep the pairs in the positions they started off with. And when you've worked four half stitches, you will find the gimps magically appear back on the outside, and that is sufficient to fill the space. I'm then going to put the first pin in. I then resume to the normal pairs, so the gimp stays on the outside and you have 3 on the inside. And put a twist on to start the half stitch. When you come to this side, the extra twist on, out through the gimp, 2 twists, pin up and back in through the gimp. I nearly took it straight back in without putting the pin up. For those of you who are eagle-eyed and spotted that. And then back inside. And through to the other side in half stitch, and again take it out, 2 twists, pin up, and back. Now when you get to the right hand side the second time, you will notice there is a plait coming out. However, because we need a plait coming out at the bottom here, we're going to put 2 pairs in for the plait and 2 pairs to stay in. So a total of 4 pairs are going to be hung on a temporary support pin at the side. And just hang it to the side of where you want them to be in open formation. So they're sitting astride each other, or rainbow fashion. We now have the 4 pairs hanging on the support pin. We'll take the 2 pairs on the left of it in through the gimp and put 2 twists on, and then we work through them in half stitch. Taking your worker pair out and putting the pin on the outside of the gimp. The 2 pairs that are left over the support pin, they are the 2 pairs that are going to stay out for the plait. The 2 pairs that have come in stay in until the second plait leaves. Each time going out through the gimp, you twist on and the pin up. And you can now see the shape forming. The ones added in do move out a little bit. Now this time, after you've put the pin up and gone back in, the first 2 pairs you work through, you're going to take out. Put an extra twist on before the gimp, and then you'll leave them out, and they will become the plait. And bobbins always seem to lengthen themselves at this point. You've now come down to the bottom pin, so we're going to take it out and we're going to work the plait in exactly the same way. Take it out, take it back in, and then we're going to work the plait. I think on this as well I crossed the gimps first. It's a little while since I designed this pattern, I've been doing quite a lot since. So I cross the gimps, passing them through all the passives to cross them before I then go and do the plait. In exactly the same way, divide it up into the 4 pairs using the gimp with a passive and do 4 half stitches, tension it up as we go. But remember to keep them in the position they were, and you will end up with them back in the outside edge. Ready to start the next bobble. You can continue then to do the next 2 half stitch bobbles, adding 4 pairs at the first plait there, and again leaving the second 2 pairs out, 2 for the first one, 2 for the second one, and the same on the third one. I'm going to turn back to the other side and show you the same thing on the other side. These 2 plaits you just plait ready to come into the wave. and then you turn the pillow and do exactly the same for the other side. So there you will take the support off that you've used. The pin that I put in right at the start, just as a support, take that one out, and again you need to sort the bobbins out because they're twisted. It's just that loop round the pin does hold them a little bit more secure. I'm now ready to start on this bobble on this side. Looking at the pattern, you'll see on here there is a line marked between the first two pinholes on the left. As I said previously, a line indicated between two pinholes means somewhere around here there is a plait. So you decide as the maker whether to take it in at the first one or at the second one. And in keeping with the first bobble we did in half stitch, I'm actually going to do it from the second one. Whichever you prefer is the correct way to do it. So I'm going to half stitch across exactly the same as I did before. I'm putting the pins on the outside of the gimp. And on the second pinhole I'll add the 4 pairs as I did before. There are just a couple more techniques I want to show you, but I need to actually get this on a little bit further before I can show you those techniques. So hang 4 pairs on the temporary support pin to the left of your work this time. Open formation as before. Making sure they go around the pin. I've put it a little bit close to the work so in the hope that you can see it clearly. So they are open formation. Again, take them in through the gimp, put the twists on and work them in. For any of you that know the swimming pools, I'm putting the pins on the outside of the gimp to try and imitate the little fins that you get on the lane ropes. That's what these bobbles are intended to represent. You can also do double half stitch on the outside edge if you prefer a firmer edge. I think that's what I may have done on the first one that's actually featured on the pattern. As I say, it's quite some time since I designed this and I've done quite a lot since, so sometimes the techniques can vary, but you get different effect, just slightly varying. I've got to put the second twist on there. Doesn't matter how good you get at lace making, you always make mistakes. And don't be afraid of making mistakes because they're the best learning things that you can do. Sometimes you make a mistake and like the effect much better than how it was originally designed. I've been doing a lot with gimps on the outside of the pins and I keep trying to revert back to that. Now here again you can see we have the plait coming out, and this is where I'll leave the pairs out after I've worked them. So I take them out through the gimp and they go straight into a plait. I'm just going to work the next bobble off camera so that I can show you the start of the wave and this little 6-pin circle, the Bedfordshire bud here. I've now done the second bobble on the right. When I actually started this pattern, I actually did the first 3 bobbles on both sides before I started the middle, but for the sake of the video I've just done the top 2 and the first right hand one. Before I start the wave, I've got 2 plaits doing a windmill crossing, which is a cloth stitch using each pair as a single. Pin up before the last move, and then just closing the move, and then just finishing that plait. So I just do that. You can actually start the wave, but it pays you to do anything like this in preparation before you get to it. It's very easy to get yourself boxed in with Bedfordshire when you've got a lot of different things going on at the same time. So now I'm ready to start this, and again you have all of these things happening at the same time here. You've got 2 plaits coming into the point and 1 plait coming out. So because you've got 3 plaits at a point, you've got 2 plaits at the moment. I'm going to hang 2 more pairs on a temporary support pin and do a 6 pair crossing. This will give you 2 pairs to go out for a plait and 2 to stay in for the wave. I'll just do a 6 pair crossing with these, using each pair as a single to do the crossing. This crossing is in any of my books and in Barbara Underwood's books, if you have those to refer to, or I can put them in the comments afterwards. So the 2 pairs on the right are going to be left out, and you may want to make this into a plait straight away so that you don't mistakenly take it into the wave. And then you can push it to one side and forget about it for a little while. We now have 4 pairs to come in. We're also going to add at this stage a worker pair that's going to be a different colour, and shortly afterwards you're actually going to add in the gimp down the middle. So I'm now ready to work the wave, and the first pinhole that's going to be worked is on the top side of the wave. So to add the extra pair of workers, or a new pair of workers in even, I hang it on the inside of the left hand pair on a temporary support pin and working cloth stitch to the left hand side, and then put the pin in that top pinhole, and that's added the worker. And I'm going to do just 1 round cloth stitch before I add the gimp. The gimp is added in the middle of the next row. So we have a look at this. We've got 4 pairs of passives, which is quite nice and easy to make it in the middle. And we're going to hang it on a temporary support pin in the middle to work through it the first time. Just hang it somewhere near to, but not actually in the cloth stitch. Cloth stitch through. Now with the gimp, we're actually going to work it in the style of Russian gimp, so Russian twisted gimp, and you have the two bobbins with the gimp on. You pick up the worker pair, you pick up the left hand bobbin and pass it through. Put it down and then put 1 twist on, right bobbin over left. This will mean your workers pass through the gimp, not the gimp through the workers, which is the normal way of working it. And you also want to twist on the worker pair in the middle, and then you continue to work. The next pinhole, you've got a plait coming in. Now to take plaits into cloth stitch in Bedfordshire, you use 2 pairs like this as a single pair to take them in, and then put your twists on. Now at this point you need to move the gimp, so we take that temporary support pin out, push it up there and then tension it all up. You've now got more workers, more passives even, on the left hand side of your gimp, and at this point you will need to start moving them across, but I'll show you that in a moment. So back through to the gimp, put one twist on your workers, lift the left gimp, take your workers through the gimp and put the twist on and continue. By doing the workers through the gimp means you cannot see the workers over the top of the gimp. If you do it the wrong way and you're using a white, for instance, over the blue gimp, you'll see the lines of thread over the gimp. And what we're trying to do is to get this continuous rope-like effect of gimp without that thread crossing it. This side we have, at the next pin, not this one, 2 pairs coming out, so they will be added in. Now on these waves, because we're taking a lot in on the left hand side, you do need to move some of these across. So occasionally when you see more on the left than the right, before you put that twist on you can move one through in exactly the same way, but don't twist your passives, just move it through. And it keeps them then regular on each side, the regular numbers. Through to the gimp, twist your workers, lift the left, pass them through, put it down and twist and continue. Now you will also see that now the wave is getting wider. You need to add the odd extra pair in. We can add one in at this pinhole because there's nothing coming in here, whereas that second one has the plait coming in. So to do this we hang a single pair on a temporary support pin and just work it in. And take the temporary pin out once it's supported. Twist your workers, lift the left, pass them through and twist. Now on the right hand side, as I say, you've got this plait coming out, so we need to add the 2 pairs on a temporary pin to form the plait. And once I've got this plait in, I can then show you the last technique that I want to show you on this video for this half stitch or 6-pin bud. When you're adding pairs in to leave them out for a plait, open formation as we've done before and just cross stitch through the first pair. Put your twists on and put your pin up. This means that the pairs added in, once you've covered the pin, they are actually around that pin supporting the plait. I'll just work across the other side, which leaves it a little bit more out of the way. And then I'll show you the bud. And that's going to have that plait coming in. So again, take them in as a single pair rather than 2. This actually just reduces the bulk of the join and makes it less noticeable on the finished lace. You've now got plenty of pairs in, but you've got a lot more on the left hand side. So again at this point I would actually take the twist off the gimp and pass a pair through so that it moves the cloth stitch and makes it slightly wider on the right, which is where you're going to need them for leaving them out later. So I'll just make this plait Now these little buds, I've done a little video on it last week. You can work them in a number of ways. I'm going to work them in what is thought to be the more traditional way, and a way that lace makers worked them when they were making them commercially back in the 19th century. The half stitch ones are optional, you can do it that way if you want, but I felt having so much half stitch around the edge, I wanted these to look a slightly different texture. So I start by putting a pin at the end of each plait. And then I'm going to start in the middle, and we've got 3 plaits in, so you've got 6 pairs. You have divide them into 2, so you've got 3 pairs on each side, and you'll cross stitch the right hand 3 here through the left hand 3. So start in the middle and take the first one through, and then go back to the right and take the second one through, and then the third one through 3. And once you've done that, you put a twist on each of them, and then I put a pin up between each 2 pairs of bobbins, and these then go back into the plait. This is a much quicker way of doing the buds, and it gives a slightly different texture, but your brain still reads it as if it was a half stitch. And I feel it gives a much smoother transition between the plaits at these points. Try both ways, see if you like them better in the half stitch, and feel free to adjust it to your own taste. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's given you some of the techniques to start off the plaits, start off the bookmark. If you've got any problems, please drop me a message and I'll try and help you. Any other techniques you'd like to see, I'd love to have comments below as to what you'd like me to film next. The pattern is still available through my website, and monies are raised for the charities for Swimathon each year. The donations will be going back through to their charities in March when the Swimathon donations start again. Hundreds of pounds were raised in 2020 for the 2 charities, and every penny was gratefully received from both patterns and sponsorship. Just as a side note, I did swim 5k 200 lengths in March for Swimathon and was sponsored for this, and then I did a further 20k swimathon through August into October, a total of 800 lengths, again for sponsorship. And this pattern was one of the ideas I came up with when doing the training. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Watch out for more coming soon. Subscribe to be notified when they're released.